Good evening. At 4 o'clock this afternoon, I issued an executive directive to the members of my cabinet who manage the departments of state government. That executive directive instructs them to begin taking all of the steps necessary to shut down all non-essential state government operations at midnight this Sunday, September 30th, when our new fiscal year begins. The Constitution is clear. Without a balanced budget in place, state government cannot write a single check. Today, almost 8 months after I submitted my budget plan to the legislature, state lawmakers haven't put a balanced budget on this desk. Like you, I have been angered by these months of inaction. But tonight, I'm hopeful. Productive negotiations are now underway in my office that could head off this government shutdown while there's still time. We have made significant progress in the last 48 hours. We've narrowed our differences. While I'm doing all that I can to achieve a budget agreement, however, there's one thing that I will not do. I will not accept a budget that makes massive cuts to education, healthcare, and public safety. Until legislation is passed that protects people and the priorities that are critical to making Michigan competitive, the possibility of a government shutdown remains real. If a shutdown occurs, operations that protect the public's health and safety from immediate danger will continue. Our prisons will keep felons behind bars. We'll maintain vital services for our most vulnerable citizens. But many services will stop. Secretary of State offices and parks will close. Road construction projects will be suspended. Tomorrow you can go to michigan.gov for updates and a complete list. The legislature has had more than enough time to avert this crisis by adopting a balanced budget. That's the one lawmaking duty the legislature is given by the Michigan Constitution. In February, in my State of the State address, I urged lawmakers to put aside their partisan differences to resolve Michigan's fiscal crisis through a three-part solution. It involved cuts, government reforms, and revenues. This was not a Democratic plan. It was not a Republican plan. It was a Michigan plan. We know that our state has been challenged like no other by trade policies that ship tens of thousands of manufacturing jobs overseas. We know that Michigan's fiscal policies in the 90s turned a $1 billion surplus into a huge deficit, leaving our state unprepared for this economic tsunami that it's facing in this new century. None of us can change the past. But given the hand that we've been dealt, the combination of cuts, reforms, and revenues are not an option. They're an absolute necessity to put Michigan on the road to economic recovery. This fundamental truth has been recognized by courageous Republican lawmakers like Representative Chris Ward, who are willing to join Democrats in a bipartisan solution. In contrast, some Republican leaders in the legislature have said they can solve our almost $2 billion budget deficit with cuts alone. But even their own members refuse to go along. Understandably, they couldn't vote to take thousands of police officers off the street, or to let class sizes explode in our schools, or to see college tuition rise beyond the reach of Michigan families. These same leaders have demanded that we adopt a so-called continuation budget so they can have another 30 days to do what the legislature has failed to do in almost 8 months. All a continuation budget does is to continue to spend money that we don't have. It is not an answer to our fiscal problems, and in fact, it will only make them far worse. Tonight, there are signs that we're on the verge of achieving an historic agreement on a budget that makes Michigan competitive and that protects our people. And while the first steps to a government shutdown are now being taken, I will work around the clock to reach that solution. I've asked the leaders of both parties to meet again this evening and to not leave the Capitol until we have an agreement that resolves this crisis. And I'm asking you, my fellow citizens, to urge your lawmakers to have the courage to compromise, to put their loyalty to Michigan before their loyalty to party. Demand that they act now to avoid a government shutdown. President Lincoln once warned that a house divided against itself cannot stand. Let us all be united as we move through some of the toughest challenges that our state has ever faced. May God bless you, and may God bless the great state of Michigan.